John, let me start with you first. Welcome. Appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me, Scott.
Yeah, I'm curious in that you put together, the Brooklyn Nets have put together this exciting, star-driven team, and you cannot welcome the energy of a full house. Frustrating, I know. How have you utilized all of the technology, your social channels, to keep fans engaged with what you're doing on the court?
Well, I mean, I guess it is frustrating, but I mean, we have to keep in mind in the big scheme of things, it's, a lot of people have it worse than we do. I mean, this is a community that's lost tens of thousands of lives over the last year to COVID-19. So, frankly, people being able to watch our games in person is relatively low on the list of bad things that have happened in the last year. Having said that, we're playing basketball. We made it to the playoffs in the bubble last year, and we hope and expect to go deep into the playoffs this year. Team's playing really well. The fan interest has been incredible. Our ratings are up over 70% from where they were last year. And we are now beginning to welcome fans back in the building. We work closely with the governor's office here in the state of New York and the Department of Health to get to the point now where we're allowed to bring up to 10% of our capacity into the building. We have the strictest COVID protection measures, certainly anywhere in the United States and probably in the world. Every single person in our building is being tested prior to every game with a PCR test, a lab-based PCR test, which, as you know, is the gold standard for COVID detection. So, we're making our way back, but we're mindful of everything that's happened in this community over the last year.
How do you, real quick, when you think about letting fans back, did you change pricing strategy of tickets? How did you think about how to kind of adjust to smaller capacity and also a change in probably demand at some capacity?
Yeah, I mean, look, we dusted off our microeconomics textbooks and to see what happens when supply goes down and demand goes up. I
can't answer that one.
Yeah. No, listen, we think we're fairly priced given the product on the court, which we think is elite. And we're in a big market with not a lot of seats to sell. So it's been a balance on that and trying to also keep some seats affordable for everyday folks and our long tenured fans. The reality is that with capacity of less than 2,000 people, we're not going to be able to service everybody. We're not going to be able to let everybody in, even if we price the tickets at $1. A lot of people are going to be disappointed that they didn't get to come. And that's just the way it is. The other reality is that testing is a real barrier. It's a barrier logistically. We're trying to ease that for our fans. So we are actually incorporating a COVID-19 test with all of our tickets. So we're providing that service. We've set up a lab at the arena. We can run hundreds of tests an hour. We're trying to ease that burden, but it's an added cost. It's expensive to provide these tests to people. And
how expensive is that?
Yeah, I'm not at liberty to disclose our actual pricing with our vendor, but it's on the order. It's of $100 to $300 per test, depending on the type of service that you get. Right. I mean, for our VIP clients, we're sending a physician's assistant to their home to do it there before the test. For other folks who may be sitting in different parts of the arena, they come a few hours early, get tested before they come in. But, if you think about somebody who's sitting in the upper deck, and maybe used to paying $50 a ticket, having a $100 or $200 test required on top of that, somebody's got to pay for that, right? Whether that's us or them, it's not a long-term sustainable model, but we're excited to get people back in the building and hosting fans again. And I think that's the main thing.
What is the game day experience like for folks who can attend?
We're doing our best. I think it's very exciting. I think there's something special about being one of a small number of people getting to witness these games live. There's sort of I don't want to say eliteness, but there's a coolness factor to being that, right? A lot of people are tired of being cooped up at home and want to start returning to normal life. I think we all do. And so the feedback we've gotten from people who have come is, yes, we understand we have to have social distancing. We're wearing masks. Our food and beverage options may be a little bit more limited than they were in the past. But at the same time, like, people recognize that, like, wow, we're getting to do something really special right now that not a lot of people are getting to do, and that most of us haven't done in many, many months. So the reaction has been fantastic. And we've done some really, I think, some fun things for the fans as well. So one of the things that we've done is we created a new seating product that we're calling our living rooms. We basically built these platforms out over the seating bowl, put up plexiglass walls, sofas, couches, bar stools, and tables, and you have your catering right there. And it's a really cool product that you can't possibly have in an arena bowl when you have 20,000 people there, but when you've got a smaller crowd, you can spread out a little bit.
Yeah, what the live event folks say, or what they were scared of, is that the living room experience was becoming so much like the arena that perhaps people would choose to stay home. I find it really interesting that you've chosen to create the living room experience inside the bowl. You've sort of married the best of both worlds.
Yeah, listen, I mean, we're really grateful to our broadcast partners, and we think the folks at the Yes Network do an amazing job of bringing our games to life for people. But there's no question, we're in the live entertainment business. There's nothing like being part of a crowd, being part of a live experience. We're tiptoeing our way back to that as a society, I think, and we're optimistic that in the weeks and months to come, that additional restrictions will be lifted in a cautious manner as the health authorities determine that it's safe to do so.
What do you think the demand will be? If you said we're open for business, would there be a line around the corner and you'd have a full house?
I think these things are all intertwined, right? I mean, it's certainly the case that not 100% of people in this city are comfortable going back into an arena environment yet. And I think that the restrictions that are in place are in there for a reason, right? So, I do think as you look forward and as case counts and deaths mercifully continue to decline and the overall environment becomes safer, I think that, demand is naturally going to continue to increase. There's no question that, we're in a basketball crazy city and that this is one of the most exciting teams in the NBA. And so, but for the health concerns, I think that, you would have that line around the block.
Obviously, sports is the anchor tenant there in the basketball team. But what about the economics of concerts? What do you think will be the first event? When? How many people do you need to make it worth your while?
That's a more complicated question as opposed to, a Nets game where we own both the building and the content that's being performed. And we also derive significant revenues from broadcast, right? So we would be playing those games. We were playing those games even without fans. Concert business is very different, as you know. And so, the artist and the promoter are going to have the loudest voice in that question and answering that question. My guess is that we won't see a robust return of the concert business until buildings can be 90% plus. That doesn't mean you won't see any. I certainly think you'll see some stuff outdoors this summer, but the indoor arena concert business is going to be a little slower to return because the economics are such for all the parties involved that, if you're an artist and you're plotting a 30-city tour, and you're just deciding whether to do it in the fall of 21 or the spring of 22, you might decide to wait till the spring of 22. And that's rational. We understand that.
Yeah, we've heard a lot about sort of an acceleration of innovation during this time. What has BSC Global seen, done, experimented with, keep, tweak? What has staying power and legs for you guys, both on the basketball side, the entertainment side, or even just sort of back end house of business?
I think it's continuing to find ways to engage with your fans. We've done, somewhat out of necessity, but also it's true to who we are as a brand. We've really leaned into our community activation efforts and really trying to be good citizens here in our community. Working in our business, you realize that, our fans have these deep emotional connections to our brands, and they care passionately about their teams and the players on those teams. And we have an obligation, I think, as sports teams operators to be more than just a business. Over the last year, my colleagues here at PSC Global and the Nets and Barclays Center have supported this community in a ton of ways. Our plaza became a de facto town square in Brooklyn, where citizens came to voice their feelings and their frustrations when it came to social justice issues, and that was really impactful to our community. And we, following that, we used Barclays Center as a food bank during the pandemic to help relieve some of the hunger issues that had become exacerbated. We used it as a polling location, and a lot of people came to vote at Barclays Center who maybe had never been there before. We're even in discussions with the state and the city about potentially being a mass vaccination site. So I think it's really leaning into all the ways that we can help the community, and and paying it forward, so to speak, in that regard.
John, I want to ask you about Top Shot, one of the hottest new products the NBA has put out. I'm curious, when you first heard about that idea, if you, in your head, you said this is a $300 million marketplace in February, or if it's taken you by surprise, and kind of what the takeaways you have from it for a team in terms of kind of what that might mean.
Yeah, I totally called that.
You called your Top Shot?
You and me both.
I'm embarrassed to say, John, that if you came to me today with the idea, I would say, I don't get it. I'm not investing.
Yeah. No, listen, I think it's, on some level, it's nothing new, right? Like why does a Michael Jordan rookie card have any value, right? It's just paper and ink. And it has value because of the scarcity, because of the emotional attachment that people assign to it. And, we're living through this really interesting technological time, whether you talk about cryptocurrencies and the idea of a digitized monetary network, or you're talking about NFTs as collectibles and the idea that you can create real scarcity and authenticity with a digital asset that you never had before. It's a fast evolving space, and I don't think anybody knows exactly where it's going to go. But we spend a lot of time on it. I'm probably in at least 2 meetings a day that touch on these topics. And we're all excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, we wrote the story about the NBA creating a blockchain committee of owners, sort of see the different, and this isn't just NFT, obviously. This goes to ticketing. This goes to media. Do you look at these things now in terms of improving the overall business operations and ultimately revenue?
Can you repeat the question? I'm not sure I quite followed you.
Yeah, how do you see blockchain being utilized by professional sports teams to drive revenue? I guess that's the better question.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of applications from the technology, and I'm not a technologist, so I can get out over my skis pretty quickly. But it's easy to imagine, and people I know are working on this. There's applications, I think, with regard to ticketing. It's sort of a natural application there. I think that you've seen news just this week with my friend Dave Cavill and the A's are now pricing their suites in Bitcoin, which is the first of its type. So I think there's a ton of applications in our space. We're deeply engaged here, and we'll likely have some things to announce in the coming months. But I would just ask people to stay tuned.
What's next for Barclays Center, by the way? I think of it, because I was there at the start, I think of it as a new facility, but every facility needs a facelift every now and then. The lifespans aren't what they used to be. Any changes coming there? What's new for the facility?
Yeah, it is a new facility and a relatively new, less than a decade old, and well designed, we think. But we're taking this time to refresh it. We're investing in a new Courtside Club, which is going to be incredible. We think will quickly become the premier premium club in all of North American sports. We have partnered with Ken Folk, who's our designer. He's done a number of high-end properties like the Gramercy Hotel and others. The Nomad Hotel and others here in New York. And we partner with Major Food Group, who's done the Grill and Carbone and Dirty French and a number of fun restaurants here in the city. So we're really looking forward to elevating that experience for our courtside seat holders. We're building a new team store It's just a good opportunity, and we're fortunate. Our company has a strong balance sheet, and we're able to invest in the product right now. And I really, give that credit, obviously, to our owner, Josiah, who throughout this pandemic has viewed this as an opportunity for us to get stronger as an organization. We've kept, I'm very proud of this. We've kept all of our folks on payroll. We've including our part-time workers in the arena, we've continued to pay them their shifts as if there was a normal slate of events. And we're confident that we're going to emerge from this crisis as a stronger company.
I'm confused. Is Carbone Northern Italian or Southern Italian? I always get. I'm not sure which sauce is which.
Have you been to Carbone?
Yes, I have, but I still don't know if it's Northern or Southern. I just know I liked it.
I think it's Southern.
Southern Italian. Good enough. Well, hopefully, John, pretty soon, Eben and I will be able to come on over and just be one of like 19,000 in the building, right?
We'd love to have you.
We always. I'm looking forward. I think. Do you feel the pent up demand from the fans? Do you feel that there's this wave about to happen?
Yeah, no question. I mean, I think that, to your point earlier about, the broadcast experience versus the live experience, I think all of us have realized from, the past year that there's real magic in being together, and one of our taglines this season has been Brooklyn together. And so, we know from talking to our fans that there's no real substitute for the roar of a crowd, from high-fiving a stranger, and all of that goes with it. A friend of mine likes to say that, there's a world of difference between, having drinks with your friends in a bar and drinking alone at home. And it's similar with sports. We get great joy out of watching these live performances as a group. And, it just hasn't been safe to do so, but it's starting to become safer. And we think that we're moving very, very cautiously. We're extremely proud of the protocols we have in place, and we're just going to be patient about how we open back up, and we think the demand will be there as we do.
Yeah, there was an anecdote I heard the other day that really resonated with me, that a year ago nobody thought anything of going to a bowling alley, grabbing a ball that probably 10,000 other people have touched, throwing it, grabbing a different ball that 10,000 people have touched, and then grabbing your piece of pizza and eating it without washing your hands.
In other people's shoes.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll get back there, or will we to the point where, it's just, this is behind us physically and mentally. But sports and entertainment is certainly an interesting test tube to see how it goes.
How about blowing out candles on a cake and then passing the piece of cake to somebody that you just blew on?
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you supposed to share the cake? Have I been doing it wrong all these years? All right. Well, John, thanks so much for taking the time. We really do appreciate it. And we'll keep tabs on what's going on in Brooklyn. Thanks again.
Thanks, guys.